We've seen some stuff over the last week or so. We saw Sam Cane talking about, and he was probably misquoted at times, talking about how some of the fans are great and some of the fans don't know what the hell they're talking about. We've seen TJ, and I think the quote was on Instagram, "If you ain't with us now, don't come later." Look, I wonder whether siege mentality is always a healthy thing. The note I wrote here was, are you with us or are you against us a touch myopic? And is it an indication of that being a healthy mindset within a team, or is that an unhealthy mindset?
I don't think you can take that as a team mindset, because I'll just use what Fozzie came out and said on News Talk ZB, and I think he said it's just part of the process. We love our fans. We understand that there's going to be negative feedback. He appreciates the negative feedback. He wants us to be passionate as fans. He wants us to be talking about the game. And he said it's just on us to have a better understanding that it's part of the process. And I think as the leader of the All Blacks, he just knocked it on the head for me. Yeah. And I just think we move forward through it. There's individuals and how they motivate themselves to get the performance. Yeah. And at the end of the day, whatever happens and whatever's said, you're going to be judged by your performance. We've both been in teams that have gone through really challenging times, and at the end of the day, if you get some results, the pressure will ease. And I thought what Fozzie did coming out and stamping his so I thought he nailed it by saying, no, we want the feedback, we appreciate the passion and the love that you have for the jersey and the game. Keep it coming, we embrace it, and we'll learn from it.
And I think that's where rugby's going. Like, you think about athletes be able to talk about how they feel and everything like that. So, that's been said, with TJ's personality, it's not a bad thing. It's just, it's his personality around there. And he's not the only All Black and the guy that has his own stamp of what he believes in. So, obviously I think the messaging wouldn't be as a team. It won't be like that. But individuals, again, and I think that's where the rugby's got to. You've got your own opinion. You're allowed to have that, and so you should.
Yeah.
So also players are still all learning. Like, social media wasn't around ages ago, so everyone's still learning and understanding. And I think Artie touched on it is the importance of mental side of the game and dealing with these pressures and having conversations to learn how to deal with it and be better from it. So they're definitely aware of it. They're taking their stance as individuals, but as a team, I don't think I don't think their team mindset. For me, your mindset will filter from the top down, and as I said again, I think Fozzie nailed it in the way he spoke on News Talk ZB on the weekend.
So what do you do with trolls then? Is it a case of you use social media as an outlet but not an inlet? Is that basically the way that you have to deal with it? Because it's such an important way of reaching your fans, but at the same time, it's a place where you can get a lot of negativity.
I think it's part and parcel of us as rugby players. It's just, if we're winning and that kind of stuff, then, you're going to give the positive praise. And as fans, they're allowed to do that. They support, they give hard-earned money, they talk and they're always supporting the All Blacks or whatever team you're supporting. So it just comes part and parcel, You think about it, when was the last time the All Blacks probably had this percentage loss? And, I think I saw a stat, it's been decades or since we've last had this kind of slow start. So I just think it comes part and parcel with being a professional rugby player in this day and age. And again, it's having the support systems of, your family, your friends, and then Gilbert, and being able to touch into Gilbert and Oka and the mental skills side to be able to deal with that. So, but I think I seriously just think it comes with the part and parcel of being a professional rugby player, and it's going to come. You just got to be able to prepare for it. Probably turn off the social media as well. It's probably a solution you could do, but Jip, I don't know about you, but I think that's, it's the day and age of where rugby and, I guess, athletes are going and what they have to deal with on an everyday basis.
Oh, look, it's definitely a way we're going, but I think we can all get better at it from an athlete point of view and from a fan's point of view. I think if we're all genuine about this mental health situation, then we just all need to get together and there's certainly a place for negative feedback. It's just the way I suppose it's structured, and there's certainly a place for from players' point of view of putting stuff out there, but also letting stuff in, because that's, you want to have that connection with your fans. That's how you grow your game and you grow, I suppose, the relationship and for fans with the club, the jersey, but with you as an individual. So I think we'll get better with it over time, but there's definitely growth from all areas. Otherwise, there's no point having these discussions about mental health, because then it's just lip service if we're prepared to just sit here and take it. Because I as I harp on, there's room for negative feedback. I suppose it's a tone. and as long as it's not personal and it's about errors you made as a rugby player, and from a place of knowledge, then you can't argue with it. But I think the whole social media thing can be done a lot better by everyone.
I think that there's a responsibility here both on the players and the media to better educate the fans. When you look at what Sam Cane said about these people who are coming at them don't know what they're talking about. Well, if they don't know what they're talking about, they need to find out what they're being told. So that comes down to both the players and the fans. And I've been frustrated about this for a long time because as a journalist, so many questions I ask I can't get answers to, whether it be about game plans or structures. You know, there's IP there that you're not going to give away. But if the fans don't understand that IP, then they can never say things constructive because they don't understand what's going on.
Well, I can speak from experience on this. I started a radio segment 6 or 7 years ago on Radio Sport, now News Talk ZB, with Darcy Watergrave.
Yeah.
And the whole motivation for it was I made a decision. The Blues were going through a tough time. I was a young player. I love rugby. Everyone knows I love rugby. I was interested in media as a potential life after rugby. And so I spoke with James Rigby at the time and got in contact with Darcy. And my main motivation was I either complain that they don't know or I've become part of the solution. And that's what I did. And I've done that and we've had callers and I've tried to educate as best I can. I've also taken on the chin. I've never missed a session, even when a bad game. And I'll tell you, it wasn't easy at times. It was brutal at times. But I manned up and more importantly, I've stuck to my guns. And this is how things like this create, is about educating and give that understanding. And I think with the development of technology, so now that was on radio, but now podcasts are so accessible that this is another element that can, can bring our fans into the game, but also educate so that when they're watching it, see a little bit differently. You've got Tumbai Matson who's doing it for test match footy in the war room with Goldie, and that's created further education. So I think there is a better opening of that, and yes, I agree that you can't give away too many secrets, but you can give general understanding. Like I've had some great callers of late just trying to explain the contestable kick and why we just give the ball back and letting them understand it's about saving energy and putting skill sets under pressure, but also not playing too much rugby between the 240s. And they leave going, oh, okay, I can see that now. Yeah. So I think there is a change in the guard in that, but I agree that it was frustrating from a journalist's point of view, but it was also frustrating from a player's point of view due to you getting a lot of criticism and there wasn't that understanding. So hence the reason that I said I wanted to be part of the solution rather than just sitting back and complaining. And it's something I've really enjoyed, connecting with the fans. And I think I get better feedback for my radio and podcast work than I do as a player.
Just wait till Dave Rennie brings you onto his coaching team.
I don't think that'll happen.
But it is important, isn't it, Bryn? That there is, because also I think one of the key parts to it is that once the information has been shared, then the fans feel part of it. And that's all they really long for.
Well, then coming back to Jipper's point around, education, I think, is probably the biggest thing around understanding for our fans. I think there's a lot of things you talk about, like keyboard warriors and that kind of stuff. But if they can actually understand around certain things around the game, behind the scenes, the tactics and the education and understanding of like what's actually what the plan is and what the All Blacks are doing, then they get a better understanding, and it's not just their general knowledge of what they think. So I think education going forward, we talk around social media and getting more education around social media. But then I think as our game growing and be able to have more platforms like podcasts, you talk around different podcasts in the world and talk around the breakdown, having to see what the shapes are and how the All Blacks are playing and being able to educate our viewers. I think it's only going to help support players when they're actually in the media and talking around what they're seeing, and it's not going to be so negative because they've actually got a substance to their arguments around what they're saying. And I think as players, that's where we feel like if someone can actually give us criticism around what it actually looks like and what it is, then it's easy to be able to get through. It's the negative ones where it's got nothing to do with rugby and it's personal. When it's personal, that's when it's different. And that's I think us as players, we get frustrated. But if it's criticism where it's well due and they've actually
you knocked the ball on and that you're average for knocking the ball on, we agree with you. Because that's how we feel. Like rugby players are really good at receiving feedback because our whole life is week to week and we get feedback every day. So we finish Monday and we'll get feedback clips that night. Tuesday that night, Wednesday. So it's not about the feedback. It's just when it turns personal that it's not necessarily like. We understand that the fans are going to get frustrated if we don't perform, but just make it about rugby.